Whoa, now. What's happening, good people? What's going on with you? Hoping everybody is having a good day. Hoping everybody has got it together. And hoping that you are ready to have some conversation. Because we got to talk. We got to talk.
What
We got to talk
about.
Huh?
What do we have to talk about, my brother?
Bruh. Today, you didn't even get another bruh. Today was a day coming out of City Hall.
What happened? Do tell.
They had the budget meetings again today,
Oh Lord.
and they got to arguing.
Oh damn. Who got taken off with the handcuffs?
And look, when I say they got to arguing, it wasn't the people. It was the administration and the city council.
Ooh.
They were going in on each other today.
They had a battle royal?
They had a battle royale. Not a battle royal.
Not royal.
It's a royale. Mhm. It was a battle royale. Yeah.
So what happened in there like that?
So they were talking about the budget. How come they got there? So somebody been listening to us, bro. Somebody been Anybody else heard the budget meeting today? Please call me 504-582-9422 because I'm gonna be terrible explaining this. I'm gonna be terrible.
It was that bad?
It was that bad.
Wow.
I'd rather somebody else explain it because you know me. I was looking at my computer going, hit him, knock his ass out.
Were they throwing shoes and bottles and stuff like that?
Miss Romy. Somebody tell Miss Romy I'm talking about her. Miss Romy was about to knock her out.
You got knocked up out.
Mm-hmm. And I was hoping it wouldn't come to that. I really was, because I was going to be having to go down there and defend Miss Romy, the CFO.
Wow.
And it was interesting because Judge Russo said, hey, you keep cutting me off. And she said, because you keep telling false information. I was like, damn. That was a good comeback.
Snap.
Here you go. And I mean, it was heated. It was very heated. And it looks like to me, now this is what it looked like to me.
What did it look like?
What it looked like to me was they looking for somebody to point the finger at.
Of course.
They looking to find out who they can point the finger at. And the person that I'm seeing that they're going to point the finger at can't defend himself because he's gone. And that is Gilbert Montano. Now, do I think that Gilbert Montano had a lot to do with this? Absolutely. Not lootly. Hootly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Asinine hootly. Mm-hmm.
Like my dear friend Big Al Cars used to say, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But it was interesting because Joe Russo kept going in on and I was just saying to myself, dude, you're going to lose that fight. And she kept coming back. Somebody tell that woman to call me. Miss Romy, you can call under another name.
So you think there's a replay on YouTube?
There should be a replay actually on the city council's website.
Oh.
On City Hall's website. It is.
I might have to peep that out when I get home.
Yeah, when you get a chance, go on city council's meetings.
Get myself a Crescent 9 and some popcorn and sit back.
Bruh. It was one of them. You'd be like, oh, snap, it's about to be something going on up in here.
Up in here?
Up in here. Yep. And I'm just saying to myself, these mature black women that know what they're doing, how to do it, They ain't gonna sit there and take that. You're not gonna point the finger at them and tell them that they don't know what they're doing. And they got emails to show.
Uh-oh. Yeah, when you have stuff in writing, that's
Bruh,
it.
that's why I called them mature black females.
That's your
Because
arse.
they put it in writing and sent it to everybody involved. And it looked like when it got down to some of the budgeting, what it looked like was that she was not invited. Ms. Romney was not invited to those meetings.
Oh, she was a crasher.
So when she said, I wasn't invited to those meetings, they were like, we got that in the email. We got that in the email. She said, show it. You don't have me in those meetings. Show me the email.
Right here. In black and white. I see somebody said they went after Doc McKenna.
Huh?
They went after Doc McKenna?
They went after everybody.
Man.
They
You
went
better not
after
mess
Susan
with Doc.
yesterday.
Don't mess with Doc. He's gangster.
Well, he's used to this. He's used to this. So, well, I basically looked at it and said to myself,
So said.
the fun is about to start because they still have to find, and they even had the auditor from the state sitting at the table, and he said, "Yep, y'all are gonna have to find $100 million. $100 million.
You can't pull that out your patootie at all.
I wonder where they're gonna get it from."
Charge us.
Yep. So a city that had a budget over $1 billion, right now we're going to be somewhere close to 700,000. And I'm sitting around saying to myself, you mean 700? I'm sorry, 700 million.
I say 700,000. Like, that ain't
Yeah, that's
much.
gonna be that's Norwood's budget.
Yeah, for real. Oh, that's cold.
So we're gonna be somewhere close to 700 million. We're going to lose quite a bit of our budgeting, and probably have to furlough some folks, cut some of the budget, furlough some folks, and probably some other things.
Charge us $100 for garbage pickup.
Bruh, they talking about the garbage contracts too.
Oh boy. How did that go? It went.
It wasn't well. It was not good. I was saying to myself, did anybody else see this besides me?
So in other words, you can't make this stuff up.
You can't. And my assessment is they were trying to blame someone for this. Who is the person? And that's what I got. I got the blame more so than how do we fix it?
Well, if there's a paper trail, it should be obvious who the people are to blame for it.
There's some paper trail.
Some.
But I can tell you, Gilbert Montano is getting ready to be the boogeyman.
Go ahead, say it.
What?
Oh, boogity, 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 boo.
Oh, nah. He wouldn't understand that part.
Oh. Yeah, I understand now.
But I was sitting back and saying to myself, now you all see who the pressure's on. The pressure ain't on Montano, because he gone. He got the golden parachute. He gone. But the pressure now is on the person that's in charge, the city council, and the administration. And TD had already submitted, this is where I think where we got to go.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, will they have the balls to let us know how much money is being cut from the budget due to their overspending?
Yep.
And because I had some folks tell me this. The projections were wrong. See, there's a projection part. You know, that's what Kerry used to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know if you remember, but Kerry used to get that thing closer than 1% every time. The city budget guesstimating how much money was going to come in from Mardi Gras, guesstimating how much money was going to come in from big events. Kerry had that thing down to less than 1%. That was his job for the city. Who's doing it now with this, all this one-time money, the guesstimations of how much money was going to come in for events like Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
Super Bowl, and then who made the deal with the state when I think I heard the gentleman say that for like Super Bowl and all of this that was happening in the city during that time, we only got $8 million.
Hold up. All that money was in this city, and we only got $8 million off of it.
Kiss me first. Just kiss me. Give me a kiss.
Talk about no Vaseline.
At least give me a kiss first. No. It ain't got to be on the lips.
Wow. Yeah, I saw on the news last night that they were showing where Mark Morial was here, and he
was
talking about her coming in, and that the new administration, incoming administration, is facing the same issues that his administration faced when he took over.
Which were?
With the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everybody has.
So it's like history just keeps repeating itself over and over. Why don't you learn from your predecessors?
Yep.
On how to handle stuff?
Well, all I got to say is, what organization I am the president of.
Oh, I already know.
What organization is that?
Captain Petty.
The conspiracy.
Captain. I forgot. You have many hats in the organization.
No. The
Captain Petty. Captain Conspiracy Theory.
That is my organization. I own that organization. I got many members. I even have.
And you're the president too.
Yes. Every once in a while they tell me that. But I even have a couple of preachers in there. What's her name? Miss Woods. What y'all got to say about Oliver with this race? I don't really care. But OT broke it down and made sure that everybody understood it. And I said to myself, Sif, this is exactly what we needed. What's wrong with these folks? And I thought it was interesting because it was almost like Miss Roman was standing up there by herself, and Oliver jumped in and said, I think what you're saying here is exactly the way that it's been supposed to go, because they were making up new stuff. And Oliver asked, isn't this the way that we always done the budget? Whenever we get close to something, that we have folks that notify us that, hey, this is where we are within the budget. What happened to it this year? And that's when everybody got the stuttering. You see it. Well. Oh.
Sound like a human sampler.
Worse.
Damn.
Sound like a buzzsaw.
That's not good.
And Miss Roman looked up and said, exactly, that's the way that it's supposed to go. And she said, January, I notified you all, letting you know that we were headed in some dark places. I let you know in June, but what could I do? The budget had already been passed. Then I notified you again in January that there were some things that are not going correctly. And then when that part came out, I was like, oh. And her and Jeruso got into it. They were going at it. She was talking, he was talking, he was yelling, and she wasn't hearing that. So she yelled back. And then he kept saying, when I'm talking, you keep trying to overtalk me. What are you supposed to do? Take it?
Exactly.
She apologized. She did apologize. But I understood what she was doing. She was not going to lose her track of thought when he kept making accusations about her. Being a part of a meeting, not being a part of a meeting, whatever. She told him, that's not true. Now, this is what I got out of that part. If you're usually guilty about something, you usually take it. But if you know and you standing 10 toes down saying, you're not going to blame this on me, you're going to defend yourself.
Of course.
Ms. Romy defended herself. And I think she did a hell of a job defending herself. Now, the other thing, too, that I got to tell you, it was a whole bunch of people that was in there quiet and have a bunch of questions. But I saw Oliver Thomas get up and ask some questions. And not only that, he told him how you do this thing, how it's supposed to be, and found out that there is a level of miscommunication that had been going on.
9 times out of 10, that is always the problem. Miscommunication.
They're going to blame that on Gilbert Montagna. Don't city council have subpoena power?
Wait, say again, I hear you.
Yeah, they got subpoena power, right?
As far as I know, they do.
Yeah, I'd subpoena him back to come in front of council and answer our questions. Because you can't just leave out, get the golden parachute, and sit back and say, look at them fools. Because this was on your watch. And honestly, that's why I said I'm the president of the conspiracy theory and the conspiracy tribe. To me, it looked like it was sabotage. There seemed to be a level of sabotage in there.
That word has been floating around here a whole lot lately.
Yep. You got to take a break?
Yeah,
let's take a break, y'all. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Have some more conversation about this. Take some telephone calls, too. 504-582-9422. We'll come back. We'll see, can we pull up that conversation with the argument. Ooh, the argument was good. I was like, get him, Miss Roman. Put on the gloves. Take the gloves off. Take them off. Take them off. Hit a biatch. Hit him. Hit him.
Time to go to break.
Come across that leg. Come from behind the glass.
Go to break.
Left, right, left, right. Mm-hmm. That's your pattern. Left, right, left, right. Okay, I'm stopping.
Hey, this is D. Riley from the 90s Hits R&B Jams. Make sure you listen to WBOK 1230 AM every Saturday night from 7 until 9 p.m. I'll be giving you the best R&B jams from the 90s. That's right, all your favorites and more. With me, D. Riley, your host of the 90s Hits, right here on WBOK 1230 AM, or listen online at WBOK1230.com. WBOK, the station you listen to longer.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Every Friday at noon on WBOK.
Parents, mark your calendars. Benjamin Franklin High School invites you to their open house Thursday, October 30th. from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Katherine Johnson campus. Discover why Franklin is a state leader in Ivy League admissions, with 90% of students earning college credit, over 50 clubs, and more than 40 electives to choose from. Come see how Franklin has been fostering futures since 1957. Don't miss it. Benjamin Franklin High School's open house, October 30th, 5 to 7 p.m. Learn more at bfhsla.org.
You've got responsibilities, but that doesn't mean your dreams are on hold. At Southern University at New Orleans, our evening and weekend college is designed with your life in mind. Finish your degree, start a new one, on your time, your degree, your schedule. No excuses, just opportunity. Visit suno.edu and make your next move today.
Meet Leanna, a part-time chef and full-time mom. In the past, Leanna didn't have health insurance because she didn't think she could afford it. What she didn't realize is she qualified for Medicaid. She loves the coverage and peace of mind that comes with high-quality care. The kind of care you get with Healthy Blue. This is Medicaid, and it's for more people than you think. Maybe even you. To see if you qualify, go to myhealthybluela.com.
Saints of God, it's time for us to tell you the truth. It's time for you to start your 21-day challenge. Don't take another day. Do it right now. Call 504-701-4711. That's the Whole Water Stove, Pastor David Impartan Sr., the host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. This is the water that's designed to change your body, the way you think, the way you act, and the way you look. Why don't you start your 21-day challenge today? For $35, you can start it right now. Call me so we can set up your appointment. 504-701-4711. That's 504-701-4711. Change your water, change your mind.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. You know what I am surprised about? I'm surprised that it is quiet. I'm surprised that it's quiet.
It is rather quiet.
So I call OT. See if you can get
All
OT.
right.
I don't know if he's still in council chambers or not, but see if he's available. Because I want him to kind of explain. Because if I explain it, y'all know I'm gonna be ignorant. I'm going to be ignorant.
Going to be?
Huh?
Going to be?
You can cut your mic off. Yes, going to be. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because I do know that this is, this is a very important conversation. And the conversation right now is where we need to be worried about what's to come. And when I'm talking about what's to come, I'm talking about the anticipation of next year's budget. And if we don't look at it and do something about it now, we're going to be operating. Well, already going to be operating in a deficit. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. We're going to be operating in a budget, in a deficit. I'm sorry. But what's interesting to me is the fact that we're trying to sort out who did what. Who did what? What we didn't do and who did what. That's a good way to put it. What we didn't do and who did what. Does that make sense? What we didn't do. And that's what I got out of today's conversation, which made me a little sad because I thought we were going to try to figure out what we're going to do. All right. So, yeah, y'all listen to me now. So it's about what we didn't do. But my deal was I'm thinking we were going to talk about what we're going to do. And then, What was interesting during that time, what was interesting is what came out of that conversation today at City Hall. Well, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm talking about what came out of the conversation in City Hall today. It was more what you didn't do instead of what we're going to do. Now, if I'm offending anybody because I'm using my wording of what you gonna do and what you didn't do, just so be it. You're just gonna have to be offended because this is what this ended up being about. This is what this is about. What we're going to do, we did not have a conversation about. You know who did? Which I was like, I started laughing because they came to the table and said, hey, we have an idea of how we can make some money because we're a money-making entity in city government. The EMT folks. I was like, what? The EMT folks. The ambulance service. They came to the table prepared, saying, hey, here's how we can make some money. This is what we're going to do. Yada, 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 yada. I was like, why ain't everybody going to do that? We have ideas. Now, if anybody watched that conversation today, your head ought to be hurting. And the reason why I say that is because this became a finger pointing, head twisting, a couple other words I can't say. I couldn't find the correct words to say that aren't derogatory. But right now, I should be the first one. You should be the first one to say, don't waste my time pointing the finger. Y'all can figure that out already. Y'all can figure that out later on. I'm trying to figure out where we're going to get the money from without furloughing a whole bunch of folks, without putting together 20% cuts around everybody's budget. Where are we going to get the money from? I don't know. But there got to be some I think innovative ways to say that we can make some money for the city and doing something about it instead of furloughing everybody, hiring freezes, cutting 20% from your budget. I was like, damn, they don't have enough money now for Nord, and they gonna cut 20% of that too?
Charging $1 million for garbage.
$1 million?
Charging us $1 million for pickup.
But if they charge $1 million for pickup, we be okay.
Don't give them any ideas.
No. If they charge $1 million for trash pickup, we'd be okay. Do you know how much trash pickup costs? For the French Quarter alone, it's like $8-9 million.
Jesus.
Yeah. You think about that. And this ain't no trash pay. Trash pays. Oh, that's the councilman. Councilman,
How are you? How are you, G?
you got your gloves off? You won't in the fight. I'm just pulling the thing. Boy, y'all got into it today.
Well, I was there refereeing again, man, trying to at least keep.
No. You know what I was gonna say. I had to say it. I got to say it until you can hit me later. It won't you and JP today.
No.
What in the world was this conversation? Why are we pointing the fingers? Now I thought we were supposed to be in a mode of fixing this.
Well, if you remember when I said it's almost like a Laura and Hardy show, who's on first? And at the end of the day, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 months. What the public wants to know is what's the solution. And you heard Councilmember Geruso say, who did he say asked the best questions during the process?
You did.
You.
Yep.
Me. So, and it was hiding in plain sight. And the CAO, the former CAO wasn't there to defend the budget and the process that had been laid out.
Mm-hmm.
He had moved on. And unfortunately, Romy and Frida, those two black women, were there to try to defend what was already done. And in many cases, they were not a part of. And that's what was unfortunate.
So I like Romy because of the fact that she was not going to take no mess.
Oh no, Romy, and I said it before, maybe a couple months ago. I said they may have had political positions in those people in those positions before, but Romy is dollars and cents. If with Romy came up through the system, right? And she's like, if 1 + 1 don't equal 2, I'm not going to say it's 2.
Right.
And so that's, so you got a real numbers person in that position now who's been in there dealing with the budget for decades, who understands it from an accounting position, not from a political position. Now, of course, Mayor Cantrell appointed her to that position when the last finance director left, but her job in the past had been saying, if it adds up, it adds up. If it don't, it don't.
And she made it very clear that what was happening, she wrote a memo dated back in January, she said, and she also said something about June, but she also said that she couldn't stop it because the fact that y'all had already voted.
It had already been done. Yeah. So what my point was, an after the fact warning did nothing because it would have been after the fact, and that if you'll remember, part of her comments was she would have loved to have been in the meetings on the front end, and early on she wasn't. But a lot of that had to do with the CAO.
And she also said that she was not even invited to those meetings.
Correct, and no one could dispute that. But now in her position now, look, there's enough fault and blame to go around. But what we're seeing now, and it's like you said early on in the beginning of the show, is that, okay, all that's good, but how you gonna fix it?
Right.
That's
what I thought the meeting was gonna be about. How you gonna fix it?
How you gonna fix it? And so that's where we ought to be now. And hey man, I asked all the right questions during the budget process, and a couple of months ago to the CAO. And Councilmember Geruso had to say, hey, man, Councilman Thomas laid it out. But that's my experience. That's what I knew what was coming. And all I was trying to do was prepare the public.
I was kind of surprised on Councilman Geruso's intent of, and I'm just being honest, it sounded more with him as pointing the finger.
Well, what I think, and Joe usually does, he's been really kind of good to work with. The person who he needed to have there in front of him
was Gilbert Montano.
Weren't there. So you got to think about his frustration in terms of, and that's why he kept using me in my questioning as an example of how he thought folk were misled, because I asked all those questions early on. That if we had gotten the right answers, we wouldn't be where we are right now, where things could have been done. But the unfortunate part for him was that he got Romy Samuels, right?
Right.
Who's smart? She's smart. She's not afraid.
Nope.
And unlike a lot of political people who will roll over when they come before the council, or they'll buck their eyes and look down, Romy held her position, and she had facts to back it up. Even though Joe had his facts to back up what he was saying, in many cases, she wasn't going to take the blame for something that she wasn't responsible for.
No, and I think that was her right to do so.
Absolutely.
And as a matter of fact, I think you kind of backed her up on it.
I did. I actually, and thank you for that. Look, this stuff ain't rocket science, man. There are budget fiscal agents that operate in departments, and I learned that from Jim Singleton and me doing it in the past, that are supposed to give reports on spending.
Right.
Gerard.
Yeah.
So if you had a business, you're not gonna want to find out you broke. Once you're broke, you're gonna want to find out from your accountant or your fiscal agent where you are before you finally broke, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are people within departments to do that. So one example that I used was that within the departments, the fiscal agents that are there were supposed to sound the alarm to tell the CAO, who would ultimately get with finance and get with the mayor and say, hey, hold on a second, let's put a freeze on spending right now, because if we continue at the pace we are, we're exhausting revenue.
Yeah.
And I said that in the past. So within the police department, to give you an example, there were emails going around over a year ago saying we're not mindful of spending, especially given the fact that from recruits to lieutenants have the right to earn 56 hours and overtime during while they work, from new recruits to lieutenants. If we don't start being mindful of spending, it's going to stress the budget, and it's at a tipping point.
And they got that $5 raise.
And they got the 5%. So it was more than
5%.
They got the 5% for 23, 24, and 25,
right,
which was going to compound it, especially given the fact that you were overspending. So why am I the only one who understands that? What didn't the CAO, and in many cases, meet with the police department and say, hey, look, y'all got to put a cap on this now, right? And we got to be mindful of it, because if not, it's going to affect the whole budget. And that didn't happen.
Well, and it was interesting to me that when you brought up the fact of spending for the police department, it was not put in perspective that a lot of the police officers that you're getting to do these overtimes are because we're short. We don't have enough
Correct.
police officers. So if they're doing overtime, they're getting time and a half. So if we got that raise, that 5% raise, time and a half, and we're looking at, I think the amount that I'm hearing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, was over $20 million.
Yeah, no, the police department went over 40 plus, almost, some estimates $49 million over their budget. So,
that was like an open checkbook then.
Hey, don't choke up, right?
But how do you go 20 million or 40 million over budget with the police department and
nobody watching?
Hey, nobody watching.
But they were put on alert. They were put, I have a copy of the email.
Really?
Yeah.
And we just still kept going.
It still kept going. And so what was unfair was for Romy to be there, and what was unfair was in many cases for Councilman Geruso too, to not have the people or the person that was ultimately responsible. And what were the guardrails within the police department?
Right.
I I mean, especially once you were put on notice.
But am I wrong though, Councilman, to say that this would be the time that you all use your subpoena power, if you have it, to bring back Gilbert Montano to get the gist of this thing?
Yeah, I don't. Given Mr. Montano's friends that he has on the council, if you notice, everyone's careful to use his name but me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. So I don't see that happening. I really don't. But it's unfair to Romy and Frida, Ms. Richardson, given the fact that they weren't part. You can say that they worked there in finance and in budgeting, but they weren't part of creating the miscommunication.
I heard her say I was not invited to go to those meetings.
Yeah, that led to this.
No, so
that led to this. So it's unfortunate now. Hey man, one of the reasons why I ran for mayor was because of my experience and thought, and I actually laid it out during the debates for mayor when I talked about the process, projected loss, capital budget versus general budget versus uncollectibles, and what needs to happen to do that. But hey, that was it. The people made a choice. I just hope that we can fix this as best we can moving forward. We don't need to burden the people of the city with no more costs.
Nope.
They're stretched enough, and we don't need to be furloughing and laying off people at City Hall, man. Those people are part of the people in the city too.
But isn't that the plan for the current administration? Isn't that the plan?
Along with the increase in revenue raising measures.
And then the other part of that, Councilman, I would say that, the indicator to me should have been when they said, oh, we got this money to give to the school board. And the mayor said, no, we don't. We can't afford it.
There is and I talked about this during the debates and during my run. You've heard me say it before talking to you. There's a level of communication in politics now that doesn't happen. There's a lack of working relationships from the different silos or different groups that doesn't happen like it used to happen before. And people don't have to like each other to get in the room on behalf of the public and put their egos aside and roll up their sleeves and do the work. And I hope at some point we can get back to that, especially given the predatory nature of the state. Because if we're not working together here at the city level, at some point, the state is going to continue to intrude on our politics and our home rule charter and find more reasons to be involved in our city and control our city. And so I hope we get it together, Gerard. All right, man. God bless you, man.
All right. Thank you there, Councilman. Appreciate all your hard work. When are y'all at it again? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Okay. We'll be listening. All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you, sir. Councilman Oliver Thomas with us, giving us the gist of today's budget hearing. Ooh, it was interesting. We're gonna play some of it for you. More coming up, y'all. Everybody hold tight.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Hi, this is Cary Grant. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events and sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join us every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Cary Show.
The NAACP New Orleans branch invites you to our 2025 Freedom Fund Banquet and Awards Ceremony, a night to uplift and celebrate. Join us Saturday, November 1st from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Xavier University's Center Grand Ballroom. Through your support, dollars fund scholarships, youth programs, and vital community projects. It's keeping the struggle to preserve civil rights current and vigorous. For tickets and information, call 504-460-7765.
WBOK. Online at WBOK1230.com. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. My number 504-582-9422. Man, I'm shocked. I did not know that I thought it was 20 million. OT said it was 49 million that we went over with the police department. With the police department. Jeez. Mr. Buddy.
Hey, Gerard.
What's going on?
Okay, I watched the whole thing, too.
Oh, you saw it?
Oh, yeah, every bit. I tell you, OT's right, because I worked budget for about 30-something years with the federal government. And in every department, they got a budget analyst that's supposed to keep track of what their budget is against what they're spending.
Mm-hmm.
And the city at the top level wasn't giving, the city administration was not giving a correct report to the city council to make decisions on. Wagaspack pointed that out with how the state does it. And the city hadn't been doing this evidently for decades. But they were, from what I understand, the cash fund's kind of like a money market. It holds the money you didn't spend in the previous year, plus whatever you don't spend or haven't spent this year. And it was at it's right now 206 million. Mm-hmm. 206 million.
Yep.
At year end, they're going to have 46 million left, which evidently they can cover any shortfall this year out of that. But out of that 46 million, 37 million is restricted money that they would have to pass an ordinance to spend, which leaves them only an 8 million fund balance. It's called the fund balance. Okay, so that they're trying to do is get up, because Wagaspack said you really need, for the city of New Orleans, to have a cash or a restricted fund, a cash balance that is about 12 to 13% or a little higher of your general fund each year.
So what do you think?
Revenue estimates?
But since you do have some assessment,
but the problem was that in the past, when they budgeted, they were covering the overtime with vacant positions that they were funding. So they really weren't reporting how much overtime they expected to expend. Well, 24 and 25 for sure, and I think 23, Cantrell said, we're only going to fund filled positions, not the authorized positions. So it's caught up with them now, and all the federal excess money's dried up. So they decided now that they need a budget report like the state, they submit to the state, where they show how much money they got and how much they spent and what the cash balance is left in the general fund. So they're going to change the financial report, and that's what they should have had when they made the decisions about the school board and a lot of other things. And the pay raises in 23, it's catching up with them.
But Mr. Buddy, I think that's great that you analyzed and said what they should have did, but they didn't. Now the cat's out the bag. So when I'm trying to predict or see if this is going to be a prediction, and you can tell me too, since you also a part of the finance and you know better than I am, isn't this going to kill the rating of New Orleans in itself to be able to borrow, to be able to get credit? Isn't this going to kill us?
Remember, they've already dropped the bond rating. Remember this, a bond is nothing more than a loan. You got to pay it back.
Right.
So if you're not generating the revenue, how are you going to pay it back even if you borrow it?
That's what I'm saying. So they can't borrow.
So that's just one problem. But the financial report they're going to submit in the future to the city council and the mayor, I think at least they will have the facts to make the correct decision. Unlike, evidently, this has been going on for decades. I mean, Cantrell was terrible at administration, but I think from what I got out of it was this kind of reporting out of the finance and the budget shop has been going on for a long time. It was just that you had some people in there before. Mr. Carey, I think it is, it comes on after you, that was in 1%. He was approaching it right and speaking up, but the reporting wasn't quite there as it needed to be. And the process went from there to say, here's how much we got left, and here's how much you can, make decisions on the spend. That's what I got out. Despite the back and forth between who's at fault, that's what I got out of it. The city needs to straighten out before they can even make a decision about how much more revenue they might need. They might not need it. They might cut out some of the damn consulting contracts and stuff.
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to cut out. That was my question of, instead of me sitting here guessing, and you guessing, what are they going to do to make this thing right? What are they going to do?
I think once they get all the budget submissions in, that they're going to look at all the contracts and stuff, because that's what Moreno kept asking for. I want all the contracts that all these different departments have, consulting and everything, and I think they're going to find some money there.
Do you think they're going to find $100 million worth of
contracts? It's been supported out of the general fund, because what we pay for our garbage fee doesn't cover it all.
You think
Montano said that back when.
Now, how much are we paying in garbage fees altogether? Because we're paying, and there's going to be, and I don't know if you knew this or not, but there's a new request for proposal for another garbage contract.
Yep, in the French Quarter.
Yep.
And Cantrell wants to do that one before she leaves office.
Yes,
they're
indeed.
doing month to month and letting the new administration handle it.
Now, I don't think that's going to fly. That's not going to fly too good with anybody.
Well, that's what the proposal is. So anyway, but OT was right.
Yeah.
Plenty of people to handle that in the departments that didn't do their job.
Yep. So what do you think? How do we fix it?
New administration coming in is going to have to fix it. And Joe Threat, God bless his soul, he's doing the best he can inheriting a mess.
I'm just having a real issue trying to hear the folks say that they didn't know. I'm having a real issue with that. When you already, just like you said, OT was right, but we got what OT told me, and just putting it in layman's terms, is that we got safeguards that everybody ignored.
The council sits up there and accepts whatever the city tells them, the administration. They've got no other way to get the information except what the city tells them. What the city was providing them with was not correct. I mean, think about it. If you're sitting up there in the city council and you're going to vote on stuff, you're depending on the CAO and the budget office and not the finance office, but the budget office and the accounting office to come in together and tell you what, and the revenue estimating committee, my God, that's a mess and needs to be straightened out.
Mm-hmm.
But, you shouldn't be spending money based on the budget. The budget's a limit. What you should be spending money on is how much have you got in the bank versus how much have you got on hand.
Right.
Just like a checkbook.
And I think the question that needs to be asked,
yet in the bank.
But the question that needs to be asked, though, and I don't think anybody asked that, is how much can we afford?
Well, he gave you the answer. Wagispack did. He said it's $206 million in the account right now, the cash fund, which would cover. You could cover that $160 million. You'd have $46 million left, but $37 million of it's restricted, which means you only have $8 million in the fund balance.
Right.
and he said you really need to build that fund balance up to about 13% or higher for emergencies or whatever. So he gave you the answer. But what you going to do in the future?
Yep. All right, Mr. Benny.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right, everybody hold tight. We got some audio to play for you in the next hour, and we'll take some more telephone calls. T-Bone, hold on. We got to do news.
From the campus of Xavier University, WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. As the government shutdown continues, California is warning Obamacare enrollees that premiums could rise sharply without new federal aid. Democrats want health care included in the funding bill, while Republicans insist on reopening the government first. Experts say millions could lose coverage if subsidies expire. Black Maryland Congressman Kwesi Mfume has introduced a resolution demanding answers on the Trump administration's federal workforce cuts and threats to withhold furloughed workers' back pay. Mfume says federal employees are, quote, the lifeblood of democracy, end quote, and should not be political pawns during the Republican-led shutdown. And budget hearings are underway in New Orleans as the city faces a $100 million deficit. Current Black Mayor LaToya Cantrell's team has until December 1st to finalize the 2026 budget before Mayor-elect Helena Moreno takes office in January. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. Gerard Stevens with you. I got somebody sending me a text message. They told me, they said, you have this really funky look on your face today.
Nah, it's just his normal face.
That's my normal face. It is my normal face. But if you would have heard what I heard today, and y'all going to hear it. Y'all going to hear this. Y'all need to call somebody and tell them tune in, so that they can hear what we went through today. I was sitting there going to myself, y'all got to be kidding me. Are we getting in an argument? Mm-hmm. T-Bone.
Man, your face always look funky. Ain't no surprise. I don't know why people surprised. Your face always looking funky.
Don't make me hang the phone up on you then. Mm-hmm. What's going on with you?
Man, look. Real talk, I don't know why you surprised, bro. You more in the know than anybody. You knew this was jacked up. You talked about this when the mayor brought it up. The current mayor.
Well, when she
not
said
the
that
mayor
$30
elect.
million, we didn't have it. I was like, uh-oh.
You might have know the numbers, but you knew it was jacked up.
Something was jacked up. And then when we heard the man say under his voice, I'm not certain what his name is. I heard him under his voice tell city council as he was sitting at the desk that, yeah, it's unfortunate that out of Super Bowl, the city of New Orleans only got $8 million. I'm like, what? And he didn't say it in the sense of everybody needs to know this. He was saying it under his voice. Yeah, we only got $8 million. I was like, did anybody else hear that but me?
How many times have I asked on this program, what are the numbers? How many times have I said, how much did we actually make? Not what you're saying gross. Let's get that straight.
We made $8 million.
$8 million.
For Super Bowl.
A city that's how big with this many citizens? That's not even $1 a person.
Plus, we had to pay for the SEER ratings.
Keep going. What else?
Had to pay overtime for police.
What else?
We had to pay for, let's see, we had to pay for police. We had to pay for sanitation again, because every time something happened during that time, they had to make sure the city was clean. It's so much stuff that we probably had to provide in resources. That's the part that gets me. Just our resources. I'm saying we provided it and we didn't get the money back.
Let me tell you something, G. We are working from a hole that has been around for years, and we keep adding to the hole. It doesn't matter which administration you name. It doesn't matter who was on the city council at that point. This city has been digging itself out of a hole for years. The wrong people have been doing the accounting, and the wrong people have been taken off the top. That's the reason why Baton Rouge insists. Let me clarify what I mean by insist. They insist on getting their cut off the top when it comes to taxes, when it comes to revenue from the city, because they know we're going to run out of money and we're not going to pay them, and they're not going to be able to pave their roads and pay their politicians and hook up their people up north.
Well, I think that we got to also look at the taxes that have been put on the city of New Orleans, whether we pay them or our guests pay them, that the city of New Orleans does not get its fair share of the hotel motel tax.
And they're never going to.
Well, you got to
Because
remember,
why?
this was put in place during the time where we weren't looking at such a deficit. We weren't looking at inflation like we're looking at it. Because if you talk about 10% of a hotel motel tax, we only get $1.25 of that 10%.
And who negotiated that?
That's the point that I'm making. They negotiated that.
Did we negotiate that,
But
or
listen
was
to
that
me.
told to us?
No.
We voluntold how much?
It was
I mean,
negotiated.
let me take a term that we use at work all the time. Did we get voluntold how much we was going to get?
It was negotiated, but my point is, it was so far, it was so long ago. Was that ever a consideration of it now costs a lot for us? It costs a whole lot more money to take care of our resources that we don't ask the state to pay for.
And the state don't want to pay for it.
They ain't gonna.
Exactly. Let me use this analogy, okay? And I explain this to people a lot when I talk about money, because this seems to be the way that bill collectors do things. You ever see the movie Goodfellas? And they were hanging out at one of their friends' bar all the time. They go there, they get their drink on, they get their eat on. The guy was hurting, though. He couldn't turn a profit with the bar. And so he said, guys, if you guys throw a little bit of money towards this place, I give you a share of it, and, we can spruce the place up and have some more business and it'd be more profit. And he kept telling him, no, we don't want to do business with you, man. You're our friend. We just want to hang out. We don't want to do that to you. And the guy was really hurting. And he just kept bugging him to put up some money to help spruce the place up, promote it, get some more liquor up there. So when they finally caved and said, okay, we part of the business now. But this is our cut off the top every month. And so it began. They sat up there and they said, that first month came, the guy was doing bad. I'm cleaning it up for radio. They tell them, screw you, give me my money. Oh, we didn't do that well. We didn't have that many people. Screw you, give me my money. That's the way Baton Rouge has treated New Orleans for decades. This ain't just happened. It's been happening. And Helena Moreno ain't saving a hope. I'm saying it like it is. Y'all voted for this. See, I'm reiterating that same saying until y'all get straight, New Orleans.
Okay.
Y'all voted for this.
Well,
the
I
same
don't know
thing we're going through on a federal level. You didn't want this to happen, but y'all voted for this. And that's how Helena Moreno is going to take things when she starts in office. Well, y'all voted for me. Y'all knew what I was going to do. Y'all voted for this.
Yeah. All right, T-Bone. Let me take these calls.
All right, y'all.
Appreciate you.
Stay up, baby.
All right.
Peace.
Galloway.
What's going on, Brother Gerod?
What's going on with you?
Oh, man. Well, you talking them numbers again. My wife did all my college algebra homework. But did I hear you just say the city of New Orleans only took in $8 million?
Yes, sir.
LSU did a study. You know how much the state of Louisiana made off this year's Super Bowl?
No,
the economic impact was approximately $1.25 billion.
Yep.
So I know I'm not good at math. That's why I got that A, but it was all homework. Brother Gerod, somebody's stealing. And they stealing good. And it ain't just Baton Rouge stealing. Somebody else getting paid. But what I called to talk to you about, and I want to change subject for them numbers. Did you read that lawsuit that Bill Hammock is suing Royce Duplessis, Gary Chambers?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Now come on. Now.
That's a far reach.
Now, not only that, I want to know. Now, I've had a top secret security clearance in the military. I've had that thing for about 10 years. And I had to go back and I know military and civilian life is different. But how do you send a confidential email that wasn't marked confidential, but you sent it to your lawyer and you send it to Royce Duplessis also? And if it's not on a secure server, how is it sent confidential? Maybe you can get a lawyer to answer that one. I know I'm not a lawyer, but I'm saying this is crazy. Now, Bill, you know you got other politicians that you done bought. You still got Troy and Cedric. Go buy them and be happy. You was sitting there playing around with somebody. I'm telling you now, if I was Royce and Gary Chambers, he want to go like that, I go high five the devil. I'm going to tell all your secrets. If you're going to sit there and try to play me about an email that you sent, that you heard. He didn't say, this person told me. I heard it. So who is the person that you heard it from? Who is this mysteriously African-American group that they was talking to? And they had decided to come back and tell you about some white devil remote. You think we ever figure who that person is?
No, I just look at it this way. I think that this gentleman is going to open up a can of worms with this lawsuit. And if I'm the attorney on the opposing side or representing Royce and Gary Chambers and them, I think that he's going to be looking at someone who's going to make him tell who he was talking to.
Exactly. And that's who I want to know.
You don't want to get into a situation where they're going to depose you and find out all the information, and you have to ask those questions because you'll be under oath.
Exactly.
He should
I know it wasn't that broke painter that works in the French Quarter, because he can't even remember his own name.
Yeah,
He's sitting up there on that stage.
He should have left that alone and moved on because your candidate has won.
Exactly. You are once again. That's the MAGA coming out in them people.
And
MAGA is the same way. They are sore winners.
And
I see them sitting up there on that stage.
If it's me, I'm telling you to drop the lawsuit. I'll just leave it at that.
But no, keep it going. I need to see some mess. You know, the only mess I got going on around here, them driverless cars and little food trucks coming to stop in front of my house. I ain't got no money to get in a driverless car. And I ain't got no money for no food truck.
So you trying to see some mess, bro?
I'm trying to get in the mess. I need some work to do. I need some investigating journalism. Because like I told them, I know where some of you little fun boys be going to get folks on shelf. But you ain't heard that from me.
Ah, mercy. Not the fun
that was
boys.
Good
one. Well, if it was me, I would be advising him to drop the lawsuit. But, it ain't me. There it is. Yes, indeed. So, do we have? You got it. All right. So we can go into the break, huh? No. I mean, we can go till the break. We're playing some of it. We can play some of it till we get up to the break.
I was gonna say take the break early and play this.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
All right. Let's take the break early. We'll take the break early, y'all, so you don't have to interrupt it. And then we'll come back and let you hear the audio. Y'all gonna laugh. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, this was made me sit back and go, y'all gotta be kidding me, right? And it was not OT. OT, I got your back, bro. I got your back. It was not OT. Wonder will they write about that tomorrow and start talking about it. I wonder. What you think? We'll see. More coming up, y'all.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. The banking industry is working hard to try to earn the trust of black households. Research from the McKinsey Institute for Black Economic Mobility shows that avoiding banks is costing black families money and could be a key contributor to the racial wealth gap. That's why firms like Greenwood could make a big difference. It's a black-owned financial institution helping to bring more black families into banking, and it's reinvesting in the black community. Ryan Glover is co-founder and chairman of Greenwood and talked to me about some of the creative ways his firm gives back.
When our members create an account through Greenwood, it provides essentially 5 meals to a food insecure family through Gooder. Each time you make a purchase, Greenwood rounds up the spare change to support HBCUs through the UNCF.
Glover's Greenwood co-founders are rapper and activist Killer Mike and former Atlanta mayor and U.S. Ambassador Andrew Young. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's knows you've got a job to do, and we help get it done. With the MyLowe's Pro Rewards program, eligible members save more with volume discounts on qualifying orders through a quote of $2,000 or more. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Offer can't be combined with any other discount, contract, and/or special pricing. Exclusions, more terms, and restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. I hope everybody's lined up to hear this. This is from today. This is this morning's conversation at City Council about the budget. We just happen to have the audio here. I want you to hear some of this. Go ahead, Whit.
Back for being here and for his team. We look forward to your findings. The floor is yours, sir.
Good morning, Mike Wagensback, Louisiana Legislative Auditor. With me is Chris Robbins, a Senior 3 with our local government advisory work. So I want to first hand out, can someone hand out this report to your folks? I've got several copies.
No. Thank you.
And just for clarification, what we're handing out is a report where we did an advisory service work concerning the City of New Orleans budget deficit analysis. I know the word audit has been thrown out there a lot. but this is not an actual audit. Your audit is done annually. Your audit report for 2024 has been received by our office, prepared by Carl Riggs, and it is in good form. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But what we wanted to do is focus in the sense of urgency of timing, because you're in budget hearings now, was to really drill down and determine where you're at and where we expect the fund balance to be at year end. So we'll just go ahead and dive right in it. If we could turn to page 2 of this report. What we have here is an estimated spending deficit and remaining fund balance for year ending December 31st, 2025. So in Exhibit A, we got from the internal unaudited financial statements, which, by the way, city staff and finance folks were very cooperative, provided everything we requested. We've got a couple open items, but they've been worked hard to really fulfill the request timely. But if you look at the actual spend on revenues or collection of revenues of $596 million, and we anticipate that you'll pick up about another $172 million. So you should end the year with respect to the general fund consolidated revenues of $768 million. On the expenditure side, actual expenditures through September 29th, 2025 are $697 million. We anticipate you'll spend another $231 million. So for the year, we anticipate that spend to be $927 million, almost $928 million. So your spending deficit, this is a spending deficit. There's a lot of terms being thrown out there, a little confusion. Your spending deficit for this year is going to be about $160 million. So you spent more than what you collected by $160 million. That's what we anticipate for this year.
Mr. Wagesback, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yep.
When you say spending deficit, that means operations that are the city of New Orleans?
Your general fund operation, your general fund, consolidated general fund, basically that's your general operations, police, fire, general government.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
the reason why I'm asking is there's been I'm not trying to put you in your office in the middle of political debate, okay? I want to be very clear about that. But I also want to be equally clear what we're looking at here. And this is a result of the fact that departments have been overspending and they've been spending in other areas that were not included in the original budget.
We'll get into some discussion a little later on what some high-level items are that weren't budgeted.
Thank you.
Page 3 is where I want to present where we anticipate your fund balance to be. From your audit report, your most recent audit report, you ended December 31st, 2024 year with I'll call it $206 million in fund balance. So that was what was left over. That was your reserve, some committed, some uncommitted. But basically, you had at your discretion $205 million going into this next budget cycle, 2025, which is where we're at now. With the deficit spending that's going to take place and finalized by December 31st, 2025, you're going to deficit spend about $160 million of that fund balance. So you should end up the year around $46 million positive fund balance. That's a good thing, but it's low fund balance. You have call it a rainy day fund or a savings fund that's required for you to sit on $37 million. Of course, you can do an ordinance to unlock that if needed. But $47 million on a close to $1 billion general fund budget is really running tight. You know, the general GFOA groups recommend 13-14%. I'd say 13-14% of your budget. You know, in a hurricane-prone area, you probably need to have a little more because with the restructuring in FEMA and who knows what will happen with federal resources when that comes about. So let's just kind of look at page 5. And I kind of went back.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you again.
You're good.
So there is an amount of about $34 to $37 million that's in that rainy day fund. Does that mean there's only like $8 million that's true unbalanced surplus that's left? I mean, I want to make sure
that's correct. Yeah. So of your $46 million we anticipate by year end, $37 million is restricted as a savings fund and cannot be appropriated to next year unless you choose to
Yeah,
pass an
I
ordinance.
I just want to highlight that for everybody watching and listening, because what it really means is we have 37 million that is truly in an emergency fund. That's it. And then we only have in a $1.5 billion budget, $8 million to cover expenses. All right, thank you.
So if we go to 5, I kind of just want to break out a trend for you guys. Went back to 2019, you know, the year prior to COVID, and this kind of just is an illustration of your revenues and your expenditures. All this comes from your audit reports other than what we've estimated for 2025. And, you know, the bottom 2 rows of numbers are probably where you want to focus. And you can see the changes in fund balance. It was pretty much break even in 2019. We spent about $4 million more. We picked up $42 million in 2020. We picked up another $96 million in 2021. We picked up another $168 million in 2022. So that was kind of our peak fund balance of $403 million. However, in 23 and 24 is where the deficit spending started to occur, and it is, you know, it's 76 million deficit spend on 23, another 121 million deficit spend in 24, and we anticipate 159 or call it 160 million deficit spend in 2025. And if you go to Exhibit D, that's just kind of a line chart that kind of graphs it out. You know, the blue is the revenues, which increase and then started to decrease. The red is the expenditures, which went down a little bit, but then started to go up and has remained above revenues. And as a result, the green, which is your fund balance, shot up in 2022, 23, and 23 it started to go down. And again, $46 million. And as you said, Councilman Giarrusso, of that, really what you can only appropriate at this point in time into your next budget year is about $8 million. So we had some recommendations, and we've kind of discussed that with staff. Some of it they agree, sometimes they disagree, but we truly believe that one, you need to amend your current year budget. We need to get that done before, as now, you'll probably have to do it again before year end. Revenue estimates, we just got to be better at doing projections there. I think there was maybe some over-optimism in some budgeting for revenues. I know the Super Bowl, Taylor Swift, I've heard a lot of discussions about some of the big events that may not have turned into big tax collections or as much as we would have anticipated. So there's going to have to be constant revisions of looking at the revenue estimates throughout the year. One thing that's real important, I feel, is a big gap is this monthly budget to actual reporting. You guys need to see this on a monthly basis. There's some debate, they say, well, we provide this, we provide that. No, we need an actual report that shows that actual spend from the brass system, what was supposed to be budgeted and put into the brass system, and just a realistic budget to actual so that you can address this deficit spending immediately.
I'm gonna stop you again in real time on this, because somebody went on the radio this morning saying the council was aware of all of this. I just want to make sure that, again, the legislative auditor is saying that the council did not receive actual monthly budget to actual.
I have not been provided, my staff hasn't been provided anything that shows that was given. I think I've spoken to 1 or 2 council members and said, no, we don't see it. So it needs to happen, and when we're developing this budget, we really just need to budget what we anticipate to spend. I mean, we can't budget positions that we think we're not going to fill. We know we're not going to fill historically.
The CFO would like to weigh in now.
Good morning, Romy Samuel, Director of Finance, along with Frida Richardson Taylor. The monthly reports are provided to council. We started as a summary. I know we've gone through the draft report by Mr. Wagaspat, and it started off as a summary, which is one of the recommendations, but council requested more detail. So now it's more detail, but council is provided with the detailed report on a monthly basis. We do show up for budget committee meetings to answer the questions about the report and are open and receptive to any questions prior to them.
But Ms. Samuel, in fairness, like you all admitted just yesterday that until we asked, overtime was not part of those reports.
I think that's a budget question, but we started this conversation.
But it's related exactly to this
Absolutely,
issue.
but this conversation started a year ago. In all fairness, it started a year ago. So,
No, I mean, you all, listen, let me ask you a question. Under the charter, who is responsible for making sure there's a balanced budget?
it's the CAO's office, right? The administration?
And the CFO.
Okay.
All right.
But
So
if things are added-
hang on. Let me get to, you know where my question is. You don't like what the question's going to be, but I'm going to
go
ask
ahead.
it. The question is, if the budget isn't balanced, should the administration allow it to be presented to the council? Yes or no?
I think the administration did present a balanced budget, but it was the add-ons that became the problem.
And who prepared the add-ons?
The council.
No, that is a falsehood.
Okay.
That is a falsehood.
I think it was a collaborative effort between council and
No, the
previous
amendment was
CAO.
prepared by the CAO's office, and it says by request.
Okay.
What does by request mean?
You tell me.
You don't know what by request means?
I'm sure by the administration.
That it literally means by the administration. It is coming, ma'am, it comes from the
responsibility
request.
for a budget because
I don't disagree with that fact, but what I'm saying to you is you all try to continually absolve yourselves from all responsibility.
that is
Yes,
not
the
correct.
answer is
That is not
absolutely-
correct.
That
I have
is
always said it was a shared
100%
responsibility.
correct.
No. I
Yes.
have always said it was a shared responsibility because I know it was both the
How can we
administration and the
have a shared responsibility when we don't know overtime, ma'am? It can't be a shared responsibility.
Okay, but we also talk about 60 million in addition on
that-
top of what was presented.
So the
Listen,
100 million that got overspent is that's okay? We're just going to forget about all of that?
Absolutely, none of it is okay. We're trying to find solutions, but we also have to recognize everyone's role in this. We all share responsibility, and we have the responsibility of moving us out of this issue.
But you say we all share responsibility, and I agree to the fact that we all share responsibility to try to put something together that serves the people of New Orleans, and that we should be working constructively to do that. I agree with you about that.
Absolutely.
What I 100% disagree with you about is that the amount of information the CEO and the CFO has is equal to the information the council has.
We can only, and I'm speaking for the CFO's office, if we are at the table, we can certainly participate. If I, in this position, was not brought to the table, I can't participate. If meetings are had outside of all of the folks that you just mentioned, there's nothing I can do about that. When presented with information, then I can respond. But if I'm not able to participate on the front end, I cannot do that.
All right, well, let me ask this question. When NOPD was running overtime in January and February, when was that presented either by the CFO or the CAO to the council?
I think that is in the budget report.
That's not real. That's not my question. My question, I know it's in the report. My question is, what are you telling the council, and what is being done in order to ensure that the overtime isn't running up the meter?
So if I am clear, if there are exceptions or things that jump out, that should jump out, I think you have a fiscal team that can provide some clarification if there is something that the council needs to know that we all deem important.
But you're not answering my question.
We assume that
You're not answering my question.
No, we assume you read the reports.
Yes, but...
We assume that. If we
yes,
give you the
okay,
data, if we
that's
take the
true.
time to prepare the information, we assume that you consume those reports. So what you're telling me is that we provide a 100-page report by council request that you don't read.
That's not, ma'am, that is false, because
Well, I'm
we
just
brought
saying,
this
you're
up.
saying-
Here's the issue. We get the report after the fact. The money's already been spent by the time we got it.
Okay.
We can't stop that from happening. The administration stops that from happening. And in fact, the reason why we had the meeting in January is because we saw what the numbers were. We're the ones who raised that issue, not y'all.
I'm sorry.
And I'm tired.
We raised the issue in June of 2024. That's not
With
true.
what? With what? Your budget didn't reflect that?
Yes, it did.
Yes, it did.
You all, I mean, I just don't this is revisionist history. It is revisionist history because you all keep on saying, we didn't know. Whether you like it or not, the fact of the matter is there's an administration with the mayor at the top of it. There's a CAO and a CFO. You all are supposed to work in tandem. There are departments underneath all of those places. You all are supposed to work with them. We cannot live in a world where we say we are a team, except for when NOPD and fire and EMS and everybody else overspends. And by the way, we've done nothing to stop it. Plus, hang on, plus when we raised this issue in January, we were told we're going to put a lid on it and we're going to stop it.
No, I think I raised the issue in January.
Well, whoever raised it,
but it's important because
no, we raised the issue too, Ms. Samuel. No, we absolutely did because you're saying we didn't raise the issue.
The problem is you do not rely on the folks that do this every day. And it's a disservice to the finance department and the team that works together because we don't do this job alone. Wait a minute, I'm speaking.
I will
We
give you
talked, we came in June, had the financial advisors to come in and explain in detail the overuse of fund balance. We talked about that before the budget season started. The budget season began, the mayor and the administration, we all submitted a budget that was balanced with use of fund balance. That doubled almost because there were certain things added after the fact when that budget was passed. In January, we did a revenue analysis. And we have the presentations, you all certainly have that information, of why this was a risk. We understood, we talked about it. It was about what the council received. I'm not saying everyone on the council, but it was basically, maybe you didn't trust the information. We proved that. We also came in with a third party and did the same exact thing. But the unwillingness to receive it from people who were doing it boots on the ground every day is frustrating.
Ms. Samuel, here are my two problems, maybe three problems with that. Number one is if the fund balance was 205 and the council added 60, that takes it to 133, right?
Okay.
Okay. Well, now it's 8 million. So we didn't spend that money, and nor did we allocate one amendment that gave more overtime to any of the departments.
Okay.
No. Let me fit you. You asked for. I'm asking for the same thing. So when the specter was raised in January, whether you raised it, whether we raised it, I will be ambivalent on that point. Mm-hmm. How did the administration spend more money without ever coming to the council for an amendment to increase spend?
I would have to defer to the budget team on that one.
I mean,
we paid the bills, council member. Listen, we paid the bills. What we asked was, we asked last year, please consider all the things that happened, legislative action and the threat to revenue. We asked for you to consider that. The council says over and over that they are in charge of the purse strings because this is an active relationship. We have to work with one another to get this thing done. The issue is, we knew that there was an assault on revenues through the legislature. We said that the governor, not only in the special session, but in the fiscal session, would come back and address those things. So there was further threat that we asked for consideration on.
It was $8 million.
But then we had things to happen, snowstorm, terrorist attack. We asked for consideration early.
But that didn't have to do with it. You all ran
You keep saying overtime. That is also a consideration if we had course corrected. And listen, I have had questions and conversations with the budget team and the CAO's office about the same thing. The issue is if we know, then we have to prepare. But we cannot just assume, and I think what we've also talked about, just because you write it into the budget or on paper, that does not equate to money in the bank. It is a plan to spend. So when we say we have to be very careful about what we budget, you also have to bump that up against the revenues that are coming in to fund the plan.
But if the budget was $145 million that we budgeted for NOPD, And the city spent $185 million without ever once coming to the council for a budget amendment to do that. That is an
I would defer to
no,
Ms.
but see, you can't do that, Ms. Samuel.
Absolutely.
No,
I don't
no,
do-
you
I
cannot.
don't-
You all are
I
a
don't-
team.
I don't
You
regulate
cannot,
that.
You cannot be in a position of, this is the fallacy with your argument.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot be in a position of, we're all a team, and we all work together, and then lay everything at the blame of the CAOs.
It's not the blame. No, let me be clear. If we were a team, we would have addressed this a long time ago.
So you're
And
not a
we
team?
No,
Is that
I'm
what you're
talking
saying?
about the council and the administration.
Well, why didn't you
Listen-
bring us an amendment? Why didn't anybody bring us an amendment on overtime at any point? I'm going to ask this question. Hold on
Okay.
1 second. By show of hands, everybody sitting on the dais, did anybody with the administration ever approach any of you for an amendment for any overtime spending related to any city department? Well, I'm going to wait a little bit longer. No, that's a no.
We didn't submit one.
No. So my point is, you all have a spending problem, and you keep on trying to blame the council for it.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Okay.
Really.
Listen, I'll acknowledge, even though, and I'd ask Ms. Brandy DeLarge to speak up on this one, but when I said we had a spending, absolutely, I meant both of us. Absolutely. That was in the presentation. I was told I was manufacturing a crisis. We were told that succinctly. So when we provided the numbers, nobody received it. It fell on deaf ears. Hold on.
That's not true either.
Okay, but what did we do to correct it?
Wait, hold on 1 second.
What did
Hold
we
on
do
1
to
second.
correct it?
Because Councilmember Morrell, I remember, asked specifically at that meeting, do we need to have austerity right now?
Absolutely.
And you answered?
I did. But he was talking about $35,000 versus
No. This is back in January. This is back in January.
This was
and
travel,
then
right?
Councilmember, no, this is when he asked in January, do we
That
have
was the
austerity?
result of that conversation. Travel was banned. Am I correct?
No. It was about, do we need to institute austerity the whole way around? And then hold on,
what was happening then?
Councilmember Thomas maybe asked some of the best questions during that meeting. He said, are we going to have to curtail spending for trash pickup? Are we going to have to curtail spending for kids at parks? Are we going to have to curtail our spending? And what was the answer?
Who spoke on that, Mr.
I mean,
Montaigne?
it doesn't matter.
No.
You keep on
I
saying
said,
that y'all are
listen,
the same team.
What I said, and I cannot speak for anyone who served in the CAO's position, I said that we need to prioritize. To the questions that were there, I said we have to take a serious look at the initiatives, which were all good programs, but we just did not have the funding for that.
I think you all need to do, wait, hang on 1 second. I think you all, I'm about ready to cede the floor, but I think you all need to do a lot more introspection and realize that y'all are a team. And that you win as a team, you win as a team and you lose as a team. And the same thing is true for us as council members. I'm one of 7, and we all get credit, praise, but we also get things said about us as a group. We fail as a team, we rise as a team, and y'all aren't acting as a team. And that's what's disappointing to me, is the fact that you want to be like, we did everything right, it's all the CAO's fault. And I'm just refused to accept that, because the bottom line is, you're an administration who's supposed to work in tandem. I mean, all I heard yesterday was, this is a silo, that's a silo, we don't communicate with each other. And I mean, that just is not going to work, period. Councilmember Morrell, Councilmember Thomas.
Thank you. You keep talking about the programming. Let's concede that the council fund was $7 million. Let's concede the school board settlement was $20 million. Mr. Wagesback, what's the spending deficit again?
$160 million.
Okay. What about the rest? You keep talking about the council. You keep talking about the council overspending. What council programs in the overspending amount? $160 million. I'll concede, under your logic, the school board settlement, council fund, it's $27 million. What about the other $133 million? How's the council responsible for that?
So $40 million was proposed in the budget by the administration. $60 million was added by council, right? Or by request, but that was in, I guess, working together with the administration?
No, by request. I love how you cannot redefine a term because it suits you. By request, Brandy, please weigh in on this. Mr. Threat, come up here because you're going to be in the list too. by request, and I know you keep feigning ignorance of this issue, by request means the administration gives something to the council to file on their behalf. That is what by request means.
Okay.
Can we acknowledge that common fact?
I am not ignorant to the fact. What I am expressing to you is, if there were meetings that did not include me about these discussions.
Who do you work for?
I work for the city of New Orleans.
Okay.
I work for the mayor.
Who your direct supervisor is the mayor of the city of New Orleans, correct?
And the CAO.
Okay. They are your team.
Mm-hmm.
If they are not inviting you into the room, whose fault is that?
That's on them.
Okay. So if you had concerns regarding the budget and how money was being spent, and you were not invited into the room to voice those concerns, whose fault is that?
That's on that individual. And I did voice my concern.
Nope, I hear you. So we agree upon two facts so far. By request means from the administration, okay? Second, you were not invited into the room to express your concerns. Now, Mr. Threat, come up here to that third mic for a second. When we budgeted, and I appreciate, because you're actually solving this problem for 2026. When we were presented with the budget for 2025, did the administration account for, Brandy, overtime?
We did not.
Okay. We did not account for overtime at NOPD, at any of those different, so the administration's proposed budget, overtime was not included.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Wagispat, from your analysis, where is the largest portion of this deficit coming from?
Well, for 2025, the city budgeted $57,500 for overtime. Year to date through September 29th, we've spent $40 million in overtime.
40 million. Okay.
And that's a kind of a trend, because in 2024, we budgeted close to $10 million for overtime, but the actual turned up to be $47 million. So that's kind of where I was going earlier.
And for my limited analysis, not as budget chair, Brandy, the reason why we never were exposed to overtime spend is because previously we had over budgeted to NOPD, correct?
Correct. For multiple, so the 2023 budget, when we built that budget, all vacant positions were removed. So like NOPD, if they had 1,200 in the budget, we only had 1,000 filled. Those 200 vacant positions, we were able to absorb it in any other department. So it didn't become a issue for us to really look at until 23, 24, 25, because we didn't have that extra budget dollars to pull from, correct?
So basically what we saw in 2025 this year is that because NOPD was over budgeted, they could absorb the overtime cost. But in 2025, we actually budgeted for a department at its current size, correct?
Correct.
So in the proposed budget by the administration did not account for overtime.
Correct.
Okay. And we're looking through the budget. There are other departments besides NOPD that had significant overtime spend, correct?
Correct.
Right.
And all
I
of
think,
that.
Councilmember Morrell, I mean, when we talk about those events, snowstorm, January, terrorist event, it's not only NOPD, it's fire, EMS, public works, sanitation, they're all working overtime, including Mardi Gras.
Right, and so the challenge is, because Mardi Gras went to Tier 1, which meant we had even more overtime for NOPD. What is evident from when looking at the budget is that the budget that was passed was actually balanced based upon what costs were in the budget. Overtime and a lot of unforeseen expenses increased that to well beyond what we had budgeted for.
Or they weren't budgeted. Overtime was not budgeted. And I think in my briefings, executive briefings, that's the first thing I noticed was the long pole in the tent, was that usually in my career, I usually get a projection, 90-day projection for overtime that I approve. So that process was not in place, and that's what we need to fix.
And I guess, because I'm trying to get undisputed facts, after January, after February, when the budget was exploding because of overtime, was there any effort by any of the departments to be told to curb overtime?
I don't believe so.
So as we knew that overtime was beginning to overtake as an issue, there was no active effort to tell any departments curb the overtime.
And, in my capacity to September,
Right.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Mr. Wagaspack, from your analysis, was there any internal efforts to curb overtime?
Not that we've seen.
Okay. So, was there any efforts since January to curb any spending that you saw before Mr. Threat came in?
I haven't seen it, no.
Okay.
And, attachment A, if you want to go back into the details, it shows you line item by line item from their general ledger, all the revenue sources, all the expense sources. And just to talk about overtime, if we go to page 19 of that exhibit, or page 19 of the report, go down close to the end, just to kind of demonstrate what we're talking about. There's a line item called overtime. And again, as I stated, it was $57,500 budget. This is our actual to date through September, and the third column is what they spent in 2024. So this is a very detailed, and honestly, this is probably something that we should prepare for you guys monthly in the brass system. Build that budget monthly into the system, and you can look at variances on a monthly basis to capture that when it goes into the red.
Mr. Wagasback, this is kind of like the number one thing I want to address going forward, going into a next term. The issue that I have seen, and it differs in the state budget, is that when the executive runs into a problem where they are spending more than what is allowed, isn't it required at the state level to go interact with the Joint Committee on the Budget to move money around? It is required before you can spend money to go back to the budget branch to get approval, correct?
Absolutely.
And the missing piece here is how in the heck do you deficit spend without having to go back to the council to have a conversation on we are over budgeted and continuing to spend?
And another thing I'll point out that gets a little confusing, and maybe this is because of the way brass works. On page 18, I will kind of go down towards the end, and you'll see in what's called miscellaneous, that's miscellaneous revenue, there's 64 million. What that number really is, the majority of it is basically the portion of prior year's ending fund balance that we're using to sort of plug the budget. You follow me? So when you're looking at this, if the outside user is looking at this, they think, well, that's great, 63 additional miscellaneous revenues are coming in. No, that's the portion of your prior year fund balance that's being used to plug the gap. So we got to present our budget a different way. We got to have the beginning fund balance, revenues, expenditures. Here's the ending fund balance after we spend deficit or have a surplus. So it's kind of.
And I think it's really interesting because I think the public assumes because they operate their own budgets at home that there is a forward-facing checkbook that has how much is in the account, how much is left the account, and that is not so much the case. This document is actually more like a checking account where you're seeing how much money do we actually have versus how much money we're spending and how many checks are we floating.
Yeah, for a household budget, you have the income, you have the expenses. That's not W-2 revenue, that's cashing a CD in.
Right.
To backfill for the expense.
So I mean, to your point, and I don't know if we need to do this by ordinance or the like, we should have a balance book that is presented to us each month with how much is being spent versus how much money we have. And part of the challenge is that what the city has done for years is with revenue estimating, we talk about, well, more money is going to come in. And we always trying to look at the budget from the perspective of budgeting prospectively saying, well, we'll have more money coming in at the end of the year, so this will work itself out. What you're suggesting is, no, on February 1st, you need to know how much money you're spending, how much money's in the account, and whether or not we are at a deficit already and chasing the hope that the revenue will address that deficit.
Correct.
And so I think this is an excellent suggestion. I think it's something we should adopt, but more importantly, and this is why, honestly, this is probably going to have to be a charter amendment, we actually passed ordinances requiring the administration come to us when they move money around. And they've never done it because under the charter, under advice from legal counsel, they were told they don't have to because the charter does not require them to give us that level of deference.
All right, there you go. Because we're running out of time, we should probably start it a little bit earlier, but you all see the Tylenol that was needed today, just because we're trying to figure out how this budget works. They're going to be back at it tomorrow. I'm telling everybody, you all need to be listening. You all need to be listening. My deal is stop pointing the finger. Tell me how you're going to fix this thing. That's where I'm at. Stop pointing the finger and tell me how you're going to fix this thing. Don't tell me you're going to cost me a whole bunch of more money or anybody else more money. All right, coming up, we've got Carrie and Artie. They're coming up at 6 o'clock. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm telling everybody, go tomorrow and listen online. If you can't get to the city council, listen online so that you can pay attention to this budget hearing. Other than that, y'all have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you later.
AURN News.
I'm Jamie Jackson. A new poll from The Economist and YouGov finds